11 inches long, 2 inches wide, versus what I normally do is like 1.5 inches wide and 1/4 inch thick. So I want a little bit wider because I want to try to get a little bit more characteristic in the body of the Tomahawk. Maybe, you know, some little cheeks and even some more curve down in the bottom. Almost like a cross between a Tomahawk and maybe a Viking's axe type deal. So we'll see how she turns out. So stick around and let's get started. Okay, so I've marked center, and on the back of the Tomahawk, where it wraps around the handle, I think I'm off center a little bit. There we go. I want it to be a little bit higher, and hopefully on the sides come down to a point, and then, yeah, I don't know if I'm describing that good, but you'll just have to wait and see. I'm going to use the horn a little bit. Alright, so right now I'm working on 2 at a time, but when I get to forge welding steps, I'm going to switch to just working on one. So I got the back swooped in. Now I'm going to do the sides of the Tomahawk body. I'm going to swoop those in too. So hopefully that's going to create a point right down on where it meets on the handle. So I'm going to go ahead and profile one side. Flip it around, we'll do the other side the same way. That's kind of where we're at so far. This is the back, these are going to be the sides. So the challenge here is I'm trying to get the point as close to center on the side of the handle as I can. So, and that might require a little bit of grinding. As I hammer this down, naturally it's getting wider, so I gotta keep hammering it this way, and then this way, and then this way, and then this way. So we're gonna keep doing that until we get the shape that we want. Alright, so I'll bring it back on heat here. Kind of give you a progress report. Kind of show you how things are shaping up. Really trying to keep it at that 1/4 inch thickness as I hammer this thing down. You can kind of see the shape starting to shape up. So now I'm kind of where I would be when I normally make a tomahawk, start with the 1.5 inch. So that's one reason why I only cut 11 instead of 12. I usually cut 12 length when I'm doing a tomahawk, but I cut 11 because I knew I'd be hammering this down and that would make it longer. So a little bit of extra work just to kind of give the tomahawk, you know, a little bit more characteristic, you know, versus just 2 straight sides just wrapped around and a bit welded in. So I'm hoping the extra hammering is going to pay off, make it look real nice. Slight change of plans because tongs that I'm using right now won't hold the other side of the stock. So I'm going to start thinning this front down. So I have a set of tongs that are actually going to hold this. I got something to hold on to it with. Not 100% ideal, but I'm going to work with it. Now I got to do the other same thing on the other side on both of these. So I'll get to beating. And when I get up close, you'll be the first to see it. Alright, so we've got everything close. Now I'm going to put the bevel in on the other side on both of them. Work out any upsets. Then we're going to think about getting everything cleaned up and starting to wrap. So I'm going to get these bevels on the other side forged in and do a little bit of plenishing, getting some of the lumps out, and yeah, bring it back. We're going to see about folding these over. Alright, so the bodies are over there cooling. Now I got to make a couple of bits. This is a piece of spring steel. And I'm just going to forge a wedge. I don't know if I mentioned it or not, but the Tomahawk body is mild steel. Alright, so I'm using my hot cut to cut it. I don't have to wait for it to cool down, cut it on the bandsaw. I'll get the other one cut off, and we'll take these to the belt sander, get them cleaned up, and cut the other one off. Alright, so here's everything cleaned up. 36 grit belt on the inside. Pretty much just cleaned up the places where I'm going to be forge welding. And on the top where I set my MIG welds to seal up the, I mean, it's kind of like a billet, but it's the Tomahawk body. I'm going to do the welding method where I seal the outside edges, the back edge, then I'm going to forge weld to the front. And those welds are going to keep the oxygen out of here. And I will put a little bit of flux in there as well. And here are the two bits ready to go. I'm going to set these aside for now. Be a minute before we need to get to these. So next I got to get these in the forge, get them hot, fold them over, and I'm going to get them as close as I can. I'm going to get them as close as I can to the Tomahawk drift. So when I go to set the drift and shape the eye, I don't run the risk of breaking any of my forge welds or MIG welds. So hold on. Start to fold these over. I don't want to get them too hot. Just quite yet. I'm trying to get it folded over as evenly as possible. Tomahawk bodies ready to forge weld. This is just the way I do it. I have made these traditional where you just wrap them, forge weld them, drop in a bit, forge weld a bit, and that's all fine and dandy. But these particular Hawks I have on my store, I want them to last a lifetime, so I go ahead, I reinforce the front of the eye socket with a bead of MIG weld, and I put a bead of MIG weld on the bottom and on the top to seal up the two pieces going together. I do have some a little bit of flux sprinkled in there too. The front of the Tomahawk body is open, so as I forge this, I'm going to force everything out the front. So it'll seal up from back to front. Everything will get squished out the front that doesn't need to be there, and I've had pretty good success with that. Try a different tone. Alright, so it seems like we got a pretty good weld. I'm just gonna take one heat and just kind of let it cool down. See if I get any weird shadows in between the seam. You start to see any kind of weird shadows, and chances are it's not welded. I can see that the weld stops about right here, so I got plenty of room to get my bit in there. I just kind of open it up a little bit because I'm going to clean it before I set the bit. So I'm just kind of watching it. Might as well get the other one in the forge. Let it start to preheat. So I'm just forge welding them one at a time. Like it's cooling down at one piece. Alright, now I'm going to fit the bit. I've already fit the bit in one of them. And this is the the first one I forged. Kind of getting it close, but I still want to get in there and clean that up a little bit before we forge weld the bit in. Give me some magic powder down inside of here. Just letting that melt down inside there. So I'm going to brush it up, kind of watch it cool down, see where I'm at here. I think it's cooling down okay. Always out on the edge is always problematic. Usually you have to grind Usually have to grind back past it. So I'm going to go ahead and call this right here. I got a lot of extra bit to trim off. That's okay. It's better to have more than I need than not enough, but I'm going to put this one on the rack, get the other one in, get it forge welded, and we'll get on to profiling it. So we'll get it profiled, ground down a little bit, and be time to dress the eye up. So after that, it'll be ready for heat treat. Alright, so I usually start at the bottom. Just because it's flat on the top. We don't want to drive it in too much. Kind of want to forge around it, make it fit that way. So I'll get it a quarter of the way on the drift, then I'll start coming in on the top. Just driving it in there as much as I am forging it around the drift. This should be the last time. Yeah, I feel pretty good about that. See if it's still hot enough to get my mark in it. Yep. All right. So the drifting is done. Yeah, like I said, the closer you wrap this in the beginning, the faster this goes. So. All right, so I got that sized up. Something I do on these after I profile them and before the heat treat, I just hit the seam with a MIG weld top and bottom. We're gonna go ahead and run it through heat treat Then after heat treat, I'll do the final profile, and all that'll be ground off looking nice. So just a little bit of security. Like I said, I sell these and I want them to last a lifetime. For no other reason than that. The welds were fine. A little bit of an insurance policy for myself. So now I'm going to go ahead and heat treat this, and the other one's already done. It's been heat treated, resized, ready to go. And then I'm going to go into the house for a tempering. All right, here are the two Tomahawks after a 425-degree temper for 2 hours. I got the final grind, I got the edge, and both of these are ready for handles. So when I get handles in these, they will be listed on my Etsy store. If you're interested in something like this, I'll leave a link, and you can go to Metal Man Productions on Etsy and check them out. Or if you just want to see the final product with the handles in them, I'll also be posting pictures on my Instagram channel, also Metal Man Productions. So well, thank everyone for sticking around and watching the video, and remember, like, share, subscribe. Every little bit of feedback helps. Also encourages me to keep standing out here and doing this. So I'm going to go ahead and get a small slideshow, get you some up-close pictures, and yeah, we'll call this one. And I just want to thank you again, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks. Bye.